Hey everybody, I'm Benjamin, aka the Terrible Australian of Supermarcy.com, and this is my video review of Cinderella, which is the brand new film directed by Kenneth Branagh. So let's get right into it. I should start off by saying that I actually, until about probably over a month ago, I had never seen the actual original 1950 Disney animated film version of Cinderella. It's one of those ones that I do recall like seeing bits and pieces of it when I was a kid, but I never actually saw the whole thing. So I knew with this new sort of take on the story sort of coming up, and one that sort of I'm not going to say that this new version is kind of a full-on remake of it, but there are sort of elements about it. But I would say it's kind of a partial remake of the 1950 Disney animated film version of the same story. Because there are sort of certain elements in this live-action version that are sort of taken from the original animated film version. So with that in mind, I knew that for those reasons why I had to check out the original one, and finally checked it out like from beginning to end, and I really enjoyed it. Definitely, it's a really good, really enjoyable animated film, but at the same time, I did have some issues with it. But luckily enough, though, I have to say, between this film and, between that film and also this new take on the story, I have to say this is definitely my favourite of the two. I thought the 2015 version of Cinderella was a really good and really enjoyable film that I have to say, is a vast improvement over the 1950 animated film in a lot of ways. And I think one of the main reasons why I really enjoyed this film a lot was because it sort of expands on some elements that I felt personally, and this is one of sort of my sort of main criticisms of the original Disney animated film, that it didn't explore certain aspects enough, or things that I sort of had a problem with this film actually fixes up. Like, I feel like this one sort of gave a bit more depth to the characters, and particularly sort of the Prince Charming, who I felt in the original film was kind of a non-existent character, and I think he only speaks probably twice throughout the whole film, and we never really sort of get to know his character at all. But luckily with this film, from both director Kenneth Branagh and screenwriter Chris Weitz, they sort of expanded on his character to give him a bit more depth, and also one of the things I really enjoyed about this film was that they sort of expanded on the romance between Cinderella and Prince Charming. Like, for example, they sort of, and partial spoilers, but they sort of, like in the animated film, they sort of meet for the first time at the ball, but in this version, they actually meet way beforehand in the woods, and I thought that was sort of a good send-up to sort of meet these two characters and sort of beginning the relationship between the two of them, and also sort of makes the romance seem a bit more believable, because we sort of live in that sort of post-Frozen kind of way of viewing animated Disney films now, which so-and-so meets somebody for the first time and instantly falls in love. But this one that sort of set up the relationship between the two of them, and of course during the course of the film their relationship turns into love, and I thought the film did a really good job at conveying that, and as well as sort of making the character of Prince Charming a more sort of fleshed out character. And I think Richard Madden, who plays him, did a really good job, and also Lily James, who I thought did a wonderful job in the role of Cinderella. I thought she gave such a really beautiful and pleasant performance as her, and also she pretty much sort of brings the essence of what Cinderella is to life on the big screen. I'm not going to say her entire performance is perfect. Like, on occasion she can be a little slight wooden in certain scenes, but most of all, the sort of the stronger aspects of her performance definitely shine in other scenes though, and also not even just those two characters sort of get expanded on a bit more, but also like the character of Lady Tremaine, who aka this wicked stepmother. They also sort of expand on her character as well, and also give us sort of a reason why her character sort of dislikes Cinderella, instead of just like in the original, she just hates her. this one sort of gives a bit more of a reason why that is. And we sort of understand why she is like that towards Cinderella, but at the same time, like, the film doesn't... still treats her as, still as a monster. And I think Cate Blanchett does such a great job in the film as well. Like, she could have easily sort of played it pretty over the top, but luckily she sort of underplays it a lot, and it comes off as a really affecting performance. And also, like, a lot of the supporting cast are pretty solid as well, like Holiday, Grainger, and I believe Sophie McShera, who sort of play the Wicked Stepsisters. I thought they did a wonderful job as well. And also in sort of tiny roles like Hayley Atwell and then Chaplin as Cinderella's parents, who I thought did a good job as well. And also another aspect I like is the sort of the relationship between Prince Charming and his father. I didn't really sort of like how they sort of portrayed the character in the original Disney animated film. It kind of seemed like he was just basically just wanted to get his son married and just have tons of kids. He was kind of insane. But Dara Jacobi does a wonderful performance of this character, and we sort of get a bit more with his... They sort of expand on his character, and he sort of underplays it as well to a beautiful effect. And there's a lot of really good things about this. And also, Kenneth Branagh, I think I do like Kenneth Branagh as a director, but he does have a tendency to sort of be very theatrical when it comes to his directorial choices, whether it be in scenes or performances. But that's all dialed down a lot in this film, and I think and he just does a good job. And what I did like about this film was they sort of respect so much of the source material. I'll get to that a little bit later though, but and also the script by Chris Weitz is nicely well written. It looks visually stunning. The score, the music, the cinematography, it's just nicely done. And also, I got to say, one of the things I really liked about this film compared to the 1950 version is that, yes, the sort of the mice and all that and the animals are still a big part of this film, but but this film doesn't really focus on them a lot, because that was one of a problem I had with the 1950 version, was I felt like the sort of the scenes between the mice and the cat Lucifer, that kind of seemed like mostly filler though, between like the sort of bigger scenes. Like, if you cut all that stuff out in the 1955 version, the film probably would have only been about 30 minutes. So I like that they sort of downplayed those characters in this film, but they're still used to rather effectively, and and they sort of expand on the things that on the actual main story of the film. And now, in terms of negatives, I have to say I didn't really sort of care too much for Helena Bonham Carter's take on the fairy godmother, and I'm not sure why. I felt like she played it a bit too over the top for my taste, and she kind of brings sort of like almost kind of a very modern sensibility to her performance, but I don't know, I just didn't really take to her character at all. And also another thing, like I do think, like, even though I really enjoyed this film a lot, and I think it's a really great take on the story, I do feel it is a bit safe. Like, I'm kind of partial on it. I think I like that because, it's not doing anything too radically different, or something totally radically different, or in any way. Instead, they sort of take the traditional approach to the story, and that I admire the film for. But at the same time, I kind of wish they sort of did something, a bit different, so that, it can stand out a bit more. Like, I mean, I know a lot of people sort of didn't like Alice in Wonderland and Maleficent. Like, I didn't mind those films either, but I do give those films credit for trying to sort of take different approaches when it came to their stories. Like, Alice in Wonderland was set after the actual original story, and Maleficent sort of decided to sort of see that story from the point of view of the character of the villain Maleficent. And I kind of wish there was something sort of like that, sort of something that would make it sort of stand out more. But so that's why I sort of feel like it's sort of when it's how it approaches its story, it does feel a bit safe. But that's not to say it's a bad thing. I just would have liked something just a little bit more to it, sort of give it that bit of make it sort of stand out a bit more compared to sort of other, animated. I mean, sort of Disney films. But that's not to say that's a bad thing. It is a pretty solid thing, and I do like that the filmmakers did that without sort of nudging or winking or anything, and sort of did it in a very respectful manner that works for the story. And yeah, I'm sort of half and half on that, but overall I think it works for what the filmmakers were going for with this film. If I had to rate this film, I give it a solid 4 out of 5. It's a really enjoyable, fun family film, and I definitely recommend everyone to check it out. It's definitely one of Kenneth Branagh's best films in quite a while. So, yep, that's my video review of Cinderella. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all later. See you, everyone. Bye.